It symbolizes power, success, longevity, and total control. And what you might not realize is that the National Hockey League could well have cast its own version, starring teams like the Detroit Red Wings, the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Boston Bruins, the Philadelphia Flyers, the New York Islanders, the Edmonton Oilers, and in a continuing role, the Montreal Canadiens. Those teams did something that is the envy of all pro sports franchises. They got to the top, and for various periods of time, were able to maintain complete control. The Montreal Canadiens of the late 1950s were especially dominant. 5 consecutive Stanley Cups, a record that has been chased but never equaled. The New York Islanders pursued that dream, winning 4 straight titles in the early 80s. They badly wanted to equal the Habs record, but fell just short.
I would have really liked it because, we were going for the drive for 5, and Montreal was the only other team to do it. To be able to say that we'd done it 5 times would have been really great, but you look back at 4 and I can't complain.
The Islanders' success is looked upon as being remarkable. They succeeded as the league got stronger. More and more teams challenged the Islanders for the championship. However, as they slipped, the word dynasty slid with them, only to be replaced by another term, parody.
There's so much parody going on now, it's going to be very difficult for someone to win it 4 or 5 years in a row. The possibility of 2 in a row, fine, but the dynasties of the 4 and 5 seems to be over with.
The league has done a great deal to make parody and to create the opposition that everybody seems to want. And some teams are still struggling on the bottom, but if they hang on to their draft choices and trade properly, I think they're going to be strong contenders.
Hockey is the last of the 4 major sports that has the slightest remains of multiple champions. For example, the National Basketball Association Championship was once the sole property of the Boston Celtics. Beginning in the late 1950s, the Celtics won 10 titles in just 11 years. However, since 1970, the league has not had back-to-back champions. In baseball, the last repeat World Series winner is the New York Yankees in the late 1970s. In fact, the American League's East Division has had 6 different winners the last 6 years. In the NFL, the Super Bowl has seen 8 different teams in its last 4 championship games. So a pattern has definitely emerged. It seems that as the years go by, it's tougher to repeat in pro sports. That pattern has finally emerged in the NHL. But why?
The draft is against you to start with. After all, when it was a 6-team league, you had a draft every 6 players coming up. Now you have a draft every 21, and if you have a bad pick at 21, you're in trouble.
In the 70s, you needed 22 players on your roster. In the 80s, you need 25, 27, 28, and even 30 because of the 80 games that you must play, and also play them, like 3 or 4 games in 5 or 6 nights.
If the last 2 seasons are any indication, then the Stanley Cup will be logging a lot of travel miles over the next few years.